skincare products you don't need, bullshit beauty trends that you shouldn't waste your money on. We're here and we're doing this thing again. More ridiculous beauty trends that you really shouldn't waste your money on. Turn that into a ringtone. First, blue light protective skincare. Wow, marketers have really done it this time, convincing us that we need to be afraid of our phone screens and our computer screens because they are going to cause premature aging and wrinkles that are just as bad as the sun. And because we're on our phones all the time, this is going to be detrimental to our skin, so we need to pay $50 to $100 on a tube of skincare to fix it. Let's look at what the science actually says. To break this down, we also have to understand the physics and the science of light. You see, light comes in a spectrum, and we're only able to see this much of it. Let me scooch down here. Visible light is such a tiny, tiny part of what we can actually see. Look at that. How small is that compared to everything else? We often hear of UVA or UVB damage, and these are types of ultraviolet radiation. These are very damaging to our skin. They actually damage our DNA in our skin, which causes sun damage, causes pigmentation, causes wrinkles through collagen degradation, and actually stops our acne marks from healing up as well and can cause scarring if you do have an open wound, which is why I keep my wounds protected with band-aids instead of laying them out in the sun. This was Rona, the puppy, the dog that I shared on Instagram. She thought my arm was food. But as you can see, this spectrum goes pretty far. There's also infrared, which is what we feel is heat over here. Now, we know we need to protect our skin against UVA and UVB because it's been proven time and time again to damage the DNA in our skin. But this blue light is what people are starting to be concerned about right now. This is a small fraction of light that we're actually able to see, but unfortunately, because our phones have LED lights and our computer screens do, is this something that we should be worried about? Is this, as well as UV damage, causing a bunch of problems with our skin? Well, the studies that have been done on this are not super conclusive, but it appears there's not much of a deal unless you have a specific skin type or unless you're looking at your phones under certain conditions, for instance, for 30 hours straight nonstop with a bright white screen at full brightness. You see, the LED lights that are emitted from our phones or screens are a lot less intense than what the sun is producing. Lab Muffin Beauty Science is one of my favorite YouTubers who did a full scientific breakdown of the physics, and she basically concurred that if you were looking at a big white MacBook screen at full brightness, it's still 100 times less damaging than what we get from the sun. And when it comes to a little phone, such as this one, it's about 2,000 times less damaging than the blue light that comes from the sun. And remember, we're not talking about UVA or UVB, which the sun produces, which we need to be worried about. We're talking about just this blue light. Right now, the only blue that you should be concerned about is the like button. And if it's not blue, go ahead and change its color. Now, there are studies that show that certain people with certain skin tones might have more negative reactions to this blue light. Back down here again, the people who might have to be concerned are specifically those who are a 4, 5, or 6 on the Fitzpatrick scale. These people naturally have darker skin because of the type of melanin that their skin produces. For people with these skin types who are exposed to high levels of visible blue light, there could be some increased pigmentation issues. For instance, pigmentation that has a quick onset, appears quickly, and then it stays for a long time. However, the studies on this are not totally conclusive because a lot of these studies were done in combination with UV light from the sun as well as blue light from the sun, also not looking at blue light from technology. And many of these studies were also done in petri dishes. And when you have skin cells lined up on a petri dish in a couple of layers, that doesn't fully replicate the multiple layers that are actually on our faces, as well as the dead keratinocytes or corneocytes that make up our skin. Because you know, our skin has dead skin on it. That's what we exfoliate off. And believe it or not, but that dead skin on there actually provides a very small amount of protection from the sun, from light, and from the outside world. That's also why you should preferably exfoliate at night and not in the morning. But based on this, should people who have darker skin be concerned about this? Should we all be concerned about our phone screens? And just to be safe, should we go buy these blue light protective products or Kylie Jenner's new blue light sunscreen something or other? No. You see, one of the things that you can do is open up your phone or your computer screen and go into your settings. And you can actually change your blue light into more yellow or orange light. Wow! Wow! Just saved yourself a $50 skincare bottle. Additionally, in the medical aesthetic office, we use LED therapy. There is LED light therapy, and one of those lights happens to be blue or violet light that is often used for acne patients to kill acne bacteria. Now, admittedly, when I've administered this to patients or clients, I've noticed better results with red or gold wavelengths, especially because those have been shown to stimulate wound healing or collagen production in the skin. But blue light and blue LED is used in medical aesthetic offices for skincare purposes. I do think there needs to be more research on this, but it's so interesting to see how we use it professionally as this wonderful treatment that really helps patients versus the way it's being demonized just so that these brands can sell you a product. The other thing is that sunscreen and clothing can protect you from this visible blue light. Remember that sunscreen protects against UVA and UVB wavelengths, not necessarily against this visible light. Sunscreen doesn't do that. There are organic/chemical filters, or there are physical/mineral filters. You know that I like these better because I have acne-prone skin and because they don't soak into the bloodstream, but unfortunately they can leave a little bit of a white cast. These have been used and have seemed to be safe for years. They also don't flash back as much, so if you don't have sensitive skin, don't rule these out. The only thing is that we know that these only protect against certain wavelengths of ultraviolet light, and they do break down over time, like avobenzone. I prefer these physical filters for many reasons, including the fact that they are more resilient, but there is some evidence to show that those really pasty zinc oxide sunscreens actually do protect a little bit against visible blue light. You normally see zinc oxide or titanium dioxide in these physical filters. Non-nano zinc oxide is the only one that has the potential to fight against this blue light, as well as some of those ultraviolet rays. However, based on what we're getting just from phones, I'm really not that concerned. And honestly, if you're worried about your blue light from your screens, more so than the actual ultraviolet radiation from the sun that has proven to degrade DNA in the skin, you've got your priorities wrong. Get out of here and go buy yourself a sunscreen. Should you be worried about your skin and your phone screens? No. What I would be more concerned about are your eyes. Specifically, there have been studies showing that there are certain people who have vision problems if they're staring at screens all day, especially because it can cause eye strain. Additionally, LED lights or bright lights can blunt melatonin. Melatonin is a hormone that tells your body, hey, it's time to go to sleep. And we know that we shouldn't be staring at our phones right before you go to bed. Are you watching this video right before you go to bed? We know we shouldn't do it because it's harder to fall asleep that way and you want your body to get good, adequate rest. But I would be more worried about that through your eyes than anything on your skin. And that's something that I would actually spend my money on, these blue light glasses, because I do stare at computer screens to edit this video for 20 hours. But I don't see the use in purchasing these skincare products and feeding these brands money to fearmonger and make people think they need something that they really don't. If you want something that's gonna protect, get yourself a good tinted sunscreen and a vitamin C serum. Put that on your face. You're welcome. Next, can we talk about eye cream? Ooh, and I hold up the Ordinary's eye cream because this is one that I actually have tested and actually tried. And if you have been on this channel for any amount of time, you know how much I hate these products. Eye creams are some of the biggest wastes of money that people are spending their money on. On this channel, we are huge proprietors of turning and learning your ingredients lists, specifically figuring out what's in those products, what the active ingredients are supposed to do for your skin, and what the other products are going to do to help them penetrate or help them sit nicely on your skin and do their job properly. When you start to turn over your moisturizers and your eye creams, you're gonna notice a lot of similar ingredients. And why is that? Because the skin underneath your eyes is almost identical to the skin everywhere else on your face. These companies are selling you eye creams at an inflated price because they say that the skin under your eyes is so different and you need to treat it differently and you don't have sebaceous glands there. Yeah, you do have pores here. You do have sebaceous glands here. It's true that the skin here is a little bit thinner, but that doesn't mean that you need dramatically different products for it. You could use something a little bit lighter in this area, but guess what? You can get that in a moisturizer. And all these eye creams are doing are selling you moisturizers, putting them in a tiny tube, and jacking up the price so that you spend your hard-earned money on it and think that you're doing something for these under eye bags, puffiness, or wrinkles or whatever, when in reality it's a glorified moisturizer. Take your moisturizer, and put it gently in this area. If your moisturizer is too thick, get yourself a lightweight gel moisturizer. Get yourself a moisturizer with caffeine, antioxidants, fine. But you don't need to spend these ridiculous amounts of money on these tiny little tubes that, you know, the department store wants you to believe is the only thing to fix your face. On top of that, eye problems are very different. Think about it. Puffiness, physical puffiness is very different than color, such as dark purple bags, which is very different than wrinkles. Eye creams claim to fix your under eyes. Okay, well, what are you fixing? That's the other thing. These companies put mica and oxides in these eye creams. Those are shimmery pigments found in makeup. So you put them on and you're like, wow, my eyes look so much better. No shit, Sherlock, you've just put makeup under your eyes, essentially. And again, if you're selling me makeup to put under my eyes to cover my under eyes, fine, that's great. But they're selling you this as an eye cream, telling you it's the magic of their skincare. No, it's not. It's a magic trick. It's just makeup in a little tube. Furthermore, take your eye cream and apply it all over your face, because if it has benefits here, it's gonna give you benefits here. I'm not shaming people who use them, I just hate that companies are ripping off consumers, and if you wanna spend your money on them, go for it, do what you want to do, but just know that they can be used interchangeably. If they're used here, you can use them here and elsewhere on your face, and you shouldn't be forced to pay extra for them. I don't know, I'm a very passionate consumer. This last one is going to come as a shock. It's a product you don't actually need. It's actually an entire step in your routine that you don't need, and that would be an essence and, yes, even a toner. If you are someone who has a very full-fledged skincare routine and you're trying to cut something out, this might be where you want to start. Let's talk about this step, specifically about essences, and I want to make it clear, I love these. I don't want to remove my essence from my skincare routine. I do not want to remove my toner from my skincare routine. I see major benefits in using these products. However, do you absolutely need to spend your money on them? No. And this entire series is about breaking down the skincare products that you don't actually need to buy so that you can choose where to spend your money wisely. Now, essences, being a little bit thicker, are more of like an extra layer or an extra moisturizer. And again, if you're going for glass skin, then fine, but do you really need them? No. So if you don't want to spend your money on it, you don't need to. It really is a luxury product, even though I've been able to find some of these at very affordable pricing. I do love them, I highly recommend them, and I will continue to highly recommend them. However, you don't need to waste your money on them if you don't want to. Even toners, I actually think a toner is more necessary than an essence because this has an actual purpose, but if you were to cut out a product, this is the one that you don't actually need, especially now because cleansers have become so advanced. They do remove makeup well without disrupting the skin's pH, and because our moisturizers and serums are by virtue pH balanced to make sure that they actually work on the skin, those are giving you some protection and kind of taking out some of the jobs that your toners are supposed to do. So again, still love them, especially if you've got a little oily T-zone or if you're working on blackheads or very, very acne prone. Again, great if you're trying to do glass skin, definitely gonna need some of these. However, these are products and technically an entire step that you don't actually need. There's also one more that is not absolutely necessary in a daily routine. Can you guess which one that is? Leave it in a comment below. Don't worry about blue light, do worry about the blue like button, because if it's not blue, go ahead, change its color. And of course, make sure that that subscribe button is gray and that you have the notifications turned on so that when we do post more videos like this, exposing the bullshit in the industry as proven by science, you won't miss it. Don't be afraid of your screens, change your settings, and always remember to be beautiful both inside and out. Oh, well, look at that. What a nice pop socket. How convenient. I love you, beautiful butterflies, and I cannot wait to see you in the next video. Love you guys. Bye.